Welcome United. So we have a great episode for you today. I'm here from the Hattle Hall, Assembly Hall, to give you a sneak preview of some of the highlights and the great things coming this episode. Enjoy.
Think about how cheerleading has been portrayed in pop culture, especially in American culture, right? And the stereotypical cheerleading that we think about, we're so far from that. And so that's really cool that you guys were able to provide a different space and show them a different side of what cheerleading is and how it's evolved.
A lot of deep breaths. I started with once I have that thought come, I kind of reset. And I just have to tell myself, I have done these before. It's not something new. I just have to know that I trust myself and I trust the partner that I'm throwing, that we're gonna be good. The same question the crowd has of how we about to get up there, I have that same question on how we getting up here and are we gonna get up here? So it kind of give you that
race for impact.
It kind of give you that adrenaline rush in that moment.
Any advice that you have for athletes that are pushing through adversity with injuries?
I would say as a coach, once it happens, you have to also take that step back, because your brain is going to start going a million miles per hour. How do we fix this? What do we change? Who need to go? And you have to take that step back and realize that it's not about you as a coach. It's about how can we set this team up for success. Always chase your dreams, always push, always have that drive, the courage, the intensity to want to be great.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another United Podcast episode. I'm your host today, Miata, and I am joined here today with my friend and colleague, Jalen Jones. Jalen, thank you for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so excited to talk a little bit more about your trajectory, specifically with cheerleading, and a little bit more about you and who you are and all the great things that you have done, not only in the sport, but just in general. So thank you for, again, being here. We're excited to talk more today about those things. So before we even dive into all of this, I got to share something with you, because I don't know if you've been keeping up with IU, but we got something here that we have actually really taken pride in with Coach Signetti.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
All right, Jalen, if we were to Google you, I am curious, what would we find?
A lot. Honestly, from high school things, sports and all the things, and then me starting my cheer career at Troy University, moving to the University of West Georgia, to the U.S. Premier National Team, and now to the Pro Cheer League Atlanta Air Team.
My gosh, you've done so many different things within cheerleading. I feel like just about anything that you can do actually in cheerleading.
Yes.
Well, and tell us a little bit more too about how did we get here? How did we get in cheerleading?
So I was at Troy University, and kind of random, I was walking from class, and me and this girl was walking side by side back to our cars to get in the car. And she started laughing, and I started laughing at my phone, and she was laughing at her phone. And we looked. It was what? Kind of weird. So then we just started talking, and she was like, oh yeah, I cheer here. I was like, oh cool, blah, blah. She was like, oh, have you ever cheered? I was like, no. Never flipped my body, never threw a helmet, never even crossed my mind about cheering. She was like, oh, you should come to one of our open gyms. So I went to an open gym. They tried to teach me how to stunt. I learned to toss hands. And then from there, they started talking about scholarships. And once they talked about a scholarship, I was like, that's kind of just more money towards school. I already don't have to pay for school fully. So it's kind of more money that kind of gets to go back to my pocket. So I was like, oh, why not? And I kind of took the reins and kept going. And then I went on a beach trip and I learned how to tumble literally in one day. And then we came to tryouts, and that day I walked out there to try out is the day it started, and it haven't ended since. And that was
Wow.
12 years ago, 10 years ago.
So did you ever think that that one look and that interaction would lead you to the cheer career that you've had?
No. I thought it was just going to be a little I thought it was going to be a little phase, finish Troy. I'm out the door, but the door never closed. It just stayed open and we still go.
Yeah, that's fascinating too. And crazy because you've had quite an impressive trajectory. And so I am curious. So it started with Troy. Now tell me a little bit more about all these other pieces that have kind of led you on this journey of the doors still open.
So as I was at Troy going into my second year, one of the guys I cheered with did UCA staff. And he was like, you should try out for staff. Like, do you work during the summer? I was like, no. It was like a great job to make money during the summer. So I went and tried out for UCA staff, made that. Then another door opened on that side of the world. So I started doing UCA staff, and then I started doing high school camps, college camps, home camps, all the way to material staff, to course staff, to all the things for staff.
Can I also just name for our listeners who may not know what UCA is? That's Universal Cheerleading Association. Under Varsity Spirit, that's who started cheerleading, right? They're one of the biggest brands. And so for you to start with UCA staff, and then it started with maybe home camps and some overnight camps with high school. Then you mentioned going into college camps and material that not a lot of people get asked to do those things.
Yeah. It's like I guess you'll say a 1 in 1,000 person, like 1 every 1,000 person that's on staff get the opportunity to do material. So I had the opportunity. So I got to make up the material, film the material, and that's the videos that got sent out that year for the high school, college teams. Anybody who needed material from camp to receive, and they was able to see my face and me do material.
A beautiful face at that, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so material, and also you named course staff too, which is like the most prestigious thing in the company to do.
Yes. So at course staff, I'm still a fellow staffer with my coworkers, but I get the opportunity to help train them, like our first years, our second years, and even kind of like our third years who's still learning the ropes of staff. So I got to take the reins to help train them and get them ready for that upcoming summer on either learning their material, how to talk a stunt class, how to talk a cheer class, dance class, all the different classes that we offer during a camp, and even how to handle an overnight camp when you're just at an overnight home camp by yourself. So it's I kind of was like in charge of people and their jobs.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's actually how we met, through
Yes.
UCA and us both instructing and being a part of course staff. So cool. So course staff through UCA, and then also now then moving into, was it West Georgia after?
Yes. So after I graduated from Troy, unfortunately, COVID hit. So I ended up packing up and moving from Alabama to Georgia. So I lived in Atlanta with my mom, and she was like, do you have any plans? I was like, the plan is to let COVID go away. But obviously, I really had to have a life plan after that because COVID's not going to be here forever. So I was like, oh, I should really apply for grad school. I had some friends already at West Georgia, so I kind of went and hung out and saw them. And I talked to Brian and Nicole, the two coaches at West Georgia. And they talked to me about a GA position, which is a grad assistant for the cheer program. And I was like, oh, cool. Found out it was a paid grad assistant position. So I got my grad school paid for, and then I ended up cheering while I was in grad school. So then now that opened more doors to my life at West Georgia. And yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Also, the graduate assistantship really worked out for grad school. May I ask what you were studying too?
I got my master's in sports management.
Nice, nice. And so West Georgia with the Wolves, how was your experience there?
First year, great. We went to nationals and actually joined a new division first time in D1 co-ed division. Used to be in D2 large co-ed. We moved to D1 and we joined Morehead State University. And from there, we took the bat. We ended up coming out on top my first year, and then my second year, we ended up coming in second. Hey, there's nothing wrong with getting second, though. Like, still a great placement. Then we moved into my third year, had a injury. Once that injury happened, I wasn't able to compete that year. And I had just recently graduated from grad school. So I was like, I should start a second master's and cheer one more time. So I cheered one more time. I started at master's, and we ended up winning for my last year cheering ever. Well, that I thought was going to be the last year cheering ever. And then I turned into coaching at West Georgia.
Okay, so this led you into coaching the team.
Yes.
What an experience, too, from first year winning, right, and having a national title in a new division at that. There's some competitive teams out there. There are some hard teams to compete against. And I'm thinking about Morehead and the history of that program and, you know, that kind of turning actually into the West Georgia Morehead rivalry that we kind of see in cheerleading today. And it's so cool to see that you're a part of those teams. I heard you say a little bit more too about your injury in the third year. And so definitely want to put that in the parking lot to talk more about. But overall, retiring with the crown and then transitioning into coaching.
It never stops. You retire with the crown just to get a new crown, just to retire again.
I love that. Well, how's it been being on the other side?
First year was kind of, I'm not going to say scary, but it was just very different. Like, I was able to become a leader, have a leader role my last 2 years at West Georgia. So I kind of knew how to help run a team, a national high-profile winning team. So once I switched over, we ended up actually forming a new team, and we formed our small co-ed team. So I had the opportunity to help kind of take charge and help coach them, in which we still involved with our large co-ed and our all-girl, but I kind of took the more reins of small. First year, a little scary, but we got through it. We came out on top first year with the team, and then my second year, it got a lot easier. It was not as stressful as I made it my first year, because I had the knowledge and everything for the sport and for everything the kids needed. So I was able to actually pour a lot into them versus only think about how I felt. And then, but we end up coming in second for this past year. So, well, other than that, it has been amazing. Loved every moment of it.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with coaching and being on the other side. It's a different role, right? And so trying to adapt in that role, and sometimes it could mean that when I'm trying to adapt and shift, that maybe I'm only thinking now about this side in this role. And so then hearing it your second year, it was about the relationship of both, of what not only do you need, but what do your athletes need, right?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that was a neat trajectory too, through being on both ends, but having that knowledge and that experience, and then leaning in on that, and also your expertise as like an athlete, and all the things that you had to do in the uniform. It's like, how do I bring in that also to the space? And so that's really cool to kind of hear that you were a part of that for West Georgia history. There's a lot of West Georgia history coming with Jalen Jones. Love that.
It's a lot.
Love that. Good stuff. Well, and I think, too, you even had some Team USA experiences in there sprinkled throughout your college career.
Yes. So my second, Yes. So my second year at West Georgia, I decided to try for the USA national team. Never really thought I was good enough to try out. I was like, let me just try it. It never hurts to try. So I went and tried out, ended up making the team, and I had that first year journey. That's where that first injury came from. And from there, I had the chance to kind of be on the outside and be in the front of the mat and watching that team and still learning more about how USA operates. And it's just very different than how you would think West Georgia operates. A lot of different teams, techniques, all the things coming into one. So it's kind of a great opportunity. Now you get to see all the different ways people teach skills and you learn a lot. So I was able to sit in the front and learn. So then I had to take a gap year from USA because I tore my other bicep. And then I tried out one more time. For my second year on USA and had no injuries this year. Had the opportunity to go through that full season. I had the opportunity to go to 4 different countries. I competed at the Pan American Championship in Chile, the Pan American Championship in Canada, and I was also at the ICU Championship for 2 years. And I was able to go to Germany and the Netherlands for the equestrian US or the equestrian Olympics, like openings and stuff.
Amazing. Okay, which one was your favorite experience, if I may ask, if you could boil it down?
If I had to put them in order, I would probably say Canada. I don't know. I love me some Canada. But I do I love Germany because it wasn't truly focused on us doing a routine. It was more focused on us putting together what cheer does in front of people who do not understand what cheerleading is. So it's able to help them understand us while we're cheering on them getting ready for their Olympic sport.
That is so neat that you guys had an opportunity to educate them, because I think about how cheerleading has been portrayed in pop culture, especially in American culture, right? And the stereotypical cheerleading that we think about, we're so far from that. And so that's really cool that you guys were able to provide a different space and show them a different side of what cheerleading is and how it's evolved.
Yes.
So I am curious too, because you've mentioned too a lot of these injuries that were happening. And so I know that injuries can definitely be challenging, especially when we're in the pinnacle of maybe our performances. I'm curious, what was it like for you being out?
After my first injury, it kind of took a toll on me because it's my first time ever getting injured, like a severe injury where I had to involve surgery. So it kind of took a toll, but once I came home and I became that alternate for USA and I was still able to still be involved with them, it kind of put a different light there because it showed that I can still be beneficial to a team without doing physical work for that team. So it kind of helped me open my eyes in a different aspect of all the different roles of a team, all the different roles that a team may need. So first injury opened my eyes. Once we went into that second injury, I kind of fell back off into why me, why again? But I had the opportunity to still step into that light and that outside of the front of the mat for West Georgia versus, yes, you'll say, oh, you already been on the front of the mat in the injuries. You already know how it feels. But it's not the same feeling when it's a team that just came together and they from all over the country and you trying to figure out how to bond, how to be teammates, how to be friends on all the things versus people you have you put in the work for from the day you tried out until that moment of getting ready for nationals is very different because I have been with these people every day from basically the time I wake up, I see them basically to the time I go to bed. So it's it just felt different from being in the front of that mat And it felt a little easier being in front of the West Georgia mat because that was like my home. So I was able to kind of talk a little more of how I wanted to talk and help them versus kind of have not beat around the bush and, you know, walk on eggshells. But it's like I couldn't voice how I really wanted to voice at USA because I don't know how everybody portrays certain tones and all the things. But at West Georgia, I know my teammates very well, so I was able to acknowledge on who can take what, who can't take what, and all the things.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's so important too, is that understanding, that cohesiveness that you guys had. And you alluded to even the investment. Like, you've invested so much of your time away from, you know, your family, especially with national season being over winter break, and invest time after school to go to practice, games. Like, there's so much time that goes into that season comparatively to USA. Maybe it's more compressed and more condensed, but it's kind of just maybe thrown together. But there was something that stuck out to me that you mentioned was regarding like your role. You've always had a lead role for your teammates, but showing up maybe on this different end, trying to figure out that role and how to still serve that purpose. And I think it speaks volumes to how every role is important. And it actually reminds me of the philosophy from my former coach and one of our bosses, Tony Nash, from UCA and Indiana University formerly. And for him to always say, like, no matter how big or small you think your role is, it takes all of us. It takes all of us to make this work and to make this happen. And so it really reminded me of that. So shout out to Tony Nash for that one. Well, so tell us a little bit more too about on the back end of these injuries after they kind of happen and your journey to return to sport.
So both injuries had their own timeline. I don't really know how that works. I was just there to experience it. But my first injury, it took 3 months to kind of start to return back to play for cheer and stunting and tumbling. But throughout those 3 months, 2 weeks, I was stuck in a cast sling. So I couldn't really move my arm or anything. But after I was able to get released from that, I was able to start PT. And so with me starting PT, I was able to start getting my range of motion back, being able to rotate, pronate, and supinate my arm and all the things that way. So once I started getting back into it, it kind of helped me be a little more at ease in the front of the mat because it wasn't like that major injury to where I can, like if the random person came into the gym, they couldn't be like, he's injured. Like you couldn't tell because once I got out of my cast, I looked pretty normal, minus my arm just wouldn't be as straight as it was prior. So it wasn't like a very long recovery for the second one. The second recovery was only a month because I was able to kind of do PT with our trainers at West Georgia and also kind of keep up with my PT at home because I already been through that experience. So I was able to come back in a month and kind of get back into cheering and stunting. It still took a good bit of courage, mind, a lot of things on my brain, like trying to get myself to do it because it's like you play that what if game. What if I throw this stunt and it happens again? What if this happens? So once I kind of started ripping that Band-Aid off again, it kind of felt like I was that first day at West Georgia learning these like super elite skills. So it kind of took me back. So it kind of felt good to kind of, like I'm back at the beginning, and it gave me a goal to achieve again. So it was a bummer, but it also helped at the same time.
So I hear on one end that it really helped kind of motivate you and keep that spark alive of I'm learning new stunts. Let me also get back. But then I'm also hearing this other piece from the mental side regarding these maybe what ifs. And so I am curious too, how did you keep your mind right during those times when those would come in?
A lot of deep breaths. I started with like, once I have that thought come, I kind of like reset, take a deep breath. And I just have to tell myself, I have done these before. It's not something new. I just have to know that I trust myself and I trust the partner that I'm throwing, that we're going to be good. Without trust, cheer doesn't go that far with you. You got to have a lot of trust, because you're putting other people's lives at risk by getting them in a stunt, even going into a pyramid, even throwing a basket. Like, it's just a lot of trust that goes in the cheer. So I had to put that trust into my partner a lot more and into myself to know that I was still capable of doing these skills. And that's where the challenge came from, is like, now I get to challenge myself on how long it's going to take me to perfect this skill again. A skill that was once perfected is not perfected. So how long is it going to take me to get back to that perfected skill?
Yeah. So a lot of trust, definitely, right? And then this challenge piece that comes up of how can I maybe get back? And I think that there's a lot that we learn within injuries of what our bodies can do and how our bodies can move and groove through those. Something that came up for me as you were talking, this idea of how can I perfect that skill again? And I am curious. I almost want to challenge it a little bit, because I feel like you learn, like you're almost a new person, or an evolved person. Let me rephrase that, on the back end of an injury, because now you have this data or this information of what you learned and what you went through, whether it's feeling resilient through the injury, just your body healing back up, but it's a new kind of experience. Yeah. And so I think with this idea of getting back to what it was, it's like, well, what if it could be better than what it was before? Or what if it goes back to that baseline, like as you were saying? Yeah. So I think there's just so much that you learn within an injury about yourself, and what your body can really do.
It's like you kind of it's like a phone. It always needs an update. And it's like that injury gave me an update. So now it's like, now I get to get the kinks and all the things out. And then now I'm relearning something new and then perfecting it and making it even better. And hey, it might be a skill that you have done and you perfect it, but in your head, you're just like, I can make this skill harder. So now you can actually take that skill a step forward and make it a newer skill for you to learn, because it's a harder skill. So
yeah, and then continuing to progress and go through those progressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the phone update. Absolutely. Very cool. Well, it sounds like too that those really, again, allowed you to update or keep you kind of up on the things that were happening within cheerleading. I'm curious, any advice too that you have for athletes that are pushing through adversity with injuries?
I would say don't rush the recovery, because the more you rush it, the more you're prone to have another injury. So I would say don't rush it. Just let the course take its time. And then I'm not going to say use my technique of how I dealt with it, but like, if you ever get those doubts, those what ifs, like, take a step back, reset. Don't try to just go charge in and be like, well, this what if popped in, I'm still going to go for it. You still have to reset and like clear everything back out to get back to that starting point. So like, don't rush, don't overdo it. Once you start feeling any sense of pain or anything, you have to know your body. You have to take that stand and be like, okay, we're done for today. And then we can come back tomorrow, or take a day break and then come back the next day. You just got to take your time and not rush to, I got to be back, I have to do this. God has it written for you. He knows your path. So you just got to be willing to follow his path.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's so important to know your body and know yourself and be so in tune with that. So then you can check in with the physical symptoms that are coming up and, okay, what do I want to do with it? How do I maybe want to leverage it? Or how can I even channel it to scale it back, of using those deep breaths, right, to kind of calm and, if I need to maybe walk away right now. I think there's a lot of data in that, of knowing what is this doing right now for you and how can I leverage it, or how can I shift gears. And it also sounds like you use religion too for something to help kind of get you through as well, with moments like that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Some other things that I'm thinking about too from just sport injuries in general. I think that us talking about that phone reminded me of us having so many different successful performances on our phone that we've done maybe before the injury, and maybe using that to kind of build some confidence could be another way that could be helpful of, oh, yeah, I've seen myself do this before. I've been here before. I know how to do this skill. Could be something that athletes you can take away, or parents, coaches, whoever's listening to our podcast today, that there's different ways to trial and error to help with those pieces of injury. Now, I am curious too on the other side, for maybe teammates when things do shift, especially in the cheerleading world, being in the national season, where your national season is 2 weeks long, right? And they're full of 2-a-day practices. And then maybe something now all of a sudden changes with a teammate and that injury happens. It's like, how as a team do we push through those adversities? And knowing that the routine might shift so many different sections of what we were doing and what we were getting used to and comfortable with. So I am curious too, any advice on that other side for teammates?
So I have experienced that. I have experienced it as a teammate, where another teammate was injured and I was on the floor. I have experienced it as a coach, where you had to flip and change because somebody got injured. But starting with a teammate, you just have to put your trust into your coaches. It's not your job as an athlete to know all the different puzzle pieces and all the different thoughts that a coach has to go through and make this routine successful. No coach is going to allow you to go out there and look bad. They're going to set you up for success. They want you to be great. They want you to be a star on that floor. So as an athlete, just take that step back and not think so much about, well, they got hurt, so what are we going to do? It's not your job to know what you're going to do. It's your coach's job to know, and they're going to guide you in the right direction. But switching gears, going into that coaching side, as a coach, once it happens, you have to also take that step back, because your brain is going to start going a million miles per hour. How do we fix this? What do we change? Who need to go? Every question that you want answered is going to come so fast. So you have to take that step back and realize that it's not about you as a coach. It's about how can we set this team up for success. So first thing, figure out what athlete is going into this routine. After you figure out that athlete that's going in, you have to take that step of, are they capable of doing the spot of the previous athlete that was injured? If they're not capable of fully taking on every role they have, that's when you start thinking about, okay, go section by section. This section, we got to do X, Y, Z. This section, got to do X, Y, Z. This section, all the way until you get to the end of the routine. Then from there, that routine is going to get set again. And it's going to be back at square one of, we had to put this routine together. It does suck that it's days into national season, but your kids are going to have that adversity. They're going to have that drive. They're going to have that commitment to do whatever it takes to be successful on this floor. So.
Absolutely. And I hate that you've been on every single side of this, but I think that it's also, I'm just so appreciative that you were able to pour into our listeners regarding different steps and tangible things that people can do to really push through those adversities of injuries. Because, injury is inevitable in any sport, right? It's not And if it's win, and knowing how to kind of stay calm in that. And I love that this, has been something across, no matter who it is, whether it's coaches, athletes, or teammates, this deep breath to allow our brains to really come back to this parasympathetic state to be able to then make this sound decision, or be able to support in a way for the athlete's needs at that time, the team's needs. All right, so again, we kind of just alluded to this, that it takes a lot of mental toughness to endure injuries and bounce back. It also takes a lot of toughness to be as successful as you have been in your cheerleading career on the top stages, from Troy University all the way through to West Georgia and Team USA. And now you're on one of the biggest stages in cheerleading, which is actually new. I think it came out, fall 2025?
Yes.
And that's the Pro Cheer League. That is something that I think that the cheerleading world has been itching for quite some time. And I know that there's 4 teams: at Atlanta Air, Dallas Drive, Golden State Grit, Miami Metal, and you're part of Atlanta Air this year on the very first Pro League team.
Yes, I am. Very exciting.
Amazing. Well, I think that that's so impressive too. Just a testament to all the work you've put in as an athlete. And so I'm curious, tell us more about the process of trying out at Atlanta Air and your experience so far.
So it actually started in the summer of 2025. I was at a college camp, and the president of Varsity Spirits, Bill Seeley, came to the college camp, and I was with one of my coworkers / best friend, and he kind of joked around. He was like, "I haven't seen y'all's application for the Pro League." And I was in my head, I'm like, I'm retired. I would love to do it, but I don't think my body can. So he kept talking to us about it. And so I sat down, and me and my best friend actually thought about it. It was like, let's just put in the application. He wants us to do it. It's the first year. Why not? So we put in the application. We got the email back. So we started the tryout process in September. So the first part of the tryout was in September and at Stingrays All-Stars in Marietta. And so that tryout was just to kind of see everybody, see their tumbling, see their stunting, talk to them, see their personalities, all the things that kind of come into cheerleading, because now you're stepping into that bigger stage. So now it's going to be a lot more eyes on you, a lot more people you have to talk to and interact with. So I just want to make sure you have that personality, you have the skills, you have all the things that come into being a cheerleader. So after tryout number 1, we moved to tryout number 2 that took place in October. And that tryout was kind of to have that final decision of who's going to be on the team. And from there, they announced the team. And funny story, I was actually announced on the Golden State Grid once the emails came out, but we got it confirmed that I was going to be on Atlanta Air. So I was actually on Atlanta Air. So yeah, once that started, once we made the team, we did all our uniforms and all the sizes and stuff. Then we started practicing, and then you kind of hit the ground running. But then I had a little speed bump because we had college nationals was the same weekend as the first match. So I wasn't able to attend the first match. So I was go, practice, veer to West Georgia, come back. Then we had that speed bump where I couldn't attend. But once we got back from college nationals, I was able to kind of pour all back into Atlanta Air. And now we're going into our 4th match next weekend in California.
Well, amazing, and congrats on just making the team. You made Golden State, though. I have questions, but we'll save it with that. But then you also juggling coaching and then being back actually in this athletic role and kind of balancing both. And I know that can definitely be exhausting. I mean, I'm exhausted thinking about it. I wonder how you feel about your schedule with that.
It was a lot. I I used to be a big planner person, and I kind of took a step away. But this past year, I had to bring the planner back because I worked, I coached, I did pro, I did privates. Like, I had to, like, write down every single thing because I would not remember. But it kind of kept me on my toes and kind of kept me going, and I never had downtime. Like, I knew exactly I had work, I had practice, I had pro, I had some privates. So it's not like I had to guess, oh, what I'm going to do tomorrow. No, it's already there. It's already written. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. It kind of became a routine. So I was like in this routine every single day. So it kind of became easy after week number 1. After week 1 ended, smooth sailing.
Got into a flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wear so many different hats, and that's highly structured. I am curious too, for just thinking about our athletes that also are kind of going in and out of so many different activities, from maybe school, college, go back to homework, those kind of pieces, or coaches that maybe juggle so many different roles. How do we take care of yourself, or how do you take care of yourself through all of these different activities and events?
Since I have the opportunity to do pro, the active side of my life is taken care of with pro. But then you don't really think about it. The eating and like nurturing your body, you have to kind of plan for it, because if you don't put that 30 minutes in, you're going to lose it. And now you're not going to be eating until 7 p.m. And that'd be your first meal. So like I started incorporating my meal times in, packing like fruit, chips in a little snack bag so I can still snack on something and still be able to eat and things. And then like just balancing life, it kind of became sometimes you have to put things on the back burner to help not focus on just yourself, to focus on others. So I didn't really focus on my social life and my lifestyle outside of the things I already agreed to do. So I was very headstrong and like, let's get through what I agreed, and then we can focus on me on a back end.
Well, if I can too, I want to challenge you a little bit with that, because I wonder if you get left for so long and we pour out, then I wonder too, do we ever feel burned out in that?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
But
I
kind of
go ahead.
Take my time. Once you feel that burnout, once that all your seasons and stuff are wrapping up, you kind of start stepping back, and now you start focusing on just you, and then you kind of get that ease back into where life is getting a little back smoother for you, and then you just know if you keep this same route and road for the next year, you know exactly how to go through this month, and then I get to smooth back out, and you just know when those times are coming.
That's fair. I hear this like sacrifice for a little bit, and then I know that once I make it to this month, then I can have maybe some more time back for myself. I am curious that when the nicks and crannies throughout the sacrifice, what's your self-care kind of look like, or how do you kind of tend to some things of self that you know that you need?
My planner. I plan out my haircut appointments. I plan out all of those. And then it's like, sleep is important.
Yes.
But 9 hours of sleep is not needed. So you have to remember, you don't need all the sleep in the world. So I just remember that once I get home, I can still take an hour or two to reset, do all my self-care at home, and then now we can wind down, dinner, all the things, and get ready to go to bed, and then we'll start back over the next morning. people start thinking, well, I need sleep. I need to be asleep by 9 p.m. to wake up at 9 a.m., but you don't need 12 hours of sleep. So you just got to remember, sometimes what you want is not what you need.
Yeah, I think about to your rigorous schedule, and I hear like the planner has been a staple for you in order to also get your needs met. Like, let me get my hair cut. Let me take some time for myself, or recognizing, okay, well, maybe I'm going to push back maybe my sleep routine for an hour if that's what some people might need 12 hours, but so, like for you, you're like, nah, that's not where I'm at. So let me take a moment to kind of attend to what I need to relax, reset, refocus, and get some of those basic needs met for you before I move into it then another day. And so I think that's really, really cool to hear, like how you find it, because it is in there. I hear it in the nicks and crannies that, you take some time for yourself, whether you know it or not, to put it in there. So very cool. And I think that's important through athletic journeys in general, because you're adding so many different things, not just practice, but we have to have performances, events, matches, meets. We are going to maybe practice on the outside. We're going to travel. There's so many other things that come with sport. And so I think that's very important to find, like, how do I find myself too through all of those different things? And sport is just one identity of how many different things. Because you do a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So getting back to Pro Cheer League, I am curious, what has been your favorite game within the matches?
My favorite game would be Flash Pyramids, because that is just, as I go around and do our meet and greets, that is what the fans all are so excited about. I always talk to them. I'm like, oh, what was your favorite part of the match? I love when y'all threw the people and ran and did the things. I was like, oh, like the Flash Pyramid? It's like, yeah, that one. So I also love Flash Pyramids, because it's like, how are they about to get up here? And it gives like the same question the crowd has of how we about to get up here. I have that same question on how we getting up here, and are we gonna get up here? So it kind of gives you that
Brace for impact.
It kind of gives you that adrenaline rush in that moment. So I really do love the Flash Pyramid. So that'll be my favorite game.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm also like, brace for impact. How are they going to do it? Please don't let anyone get hurt. My goodness. So cool. So cool that the fans are also taking to that as well. And how are matches for you in general? Do they feel similar to the other stages that you've been a part of?
No. It's totally different. Since Pro Cheer League is televised, it is on the Ion channel, and you can also find it on Varsity TV. We have a lot of production there. So we have to go through a production walk before every match just to know where all the things are and what is happening. So it's like very different. But honestly, it's just fun. Like, I get to engage with the crowd. So yes, I'm doing cheerleading. Yes, I'm getting to throw humans, but it's more like fan engagement than a lot of focus on us.
Yeah. That's so cool to just kind of be a part of maybe this production side of like, and it's so much bigger than you guys, right? Like with a lot of it's for the fans. So that's really cool. Awesome. So I know the goal of this league was actually to pay cheerleaders. And so I'm curious, has that come to fruition?
It's kind of great. Like, we get paid for our hours of practice and the matches. But outside of that, we have the opportunity to have different brand deals, different appearances different meet and greets and all the different things that come along with it. Like, I had the opportunity to be on Fox 5 News in Atlanta a few weeks ago for pro, and I got to discuss and talk about what pro cheer is in Atlanta Air. And then in a couple of weeks, I will be in New York, in Brooklyn, with Parents for Pro. So it kind of like has opened a lot of more doors, and you kind of get to step out and not have somebody hover over you while you're doing the extra curricular activity part of it. So it's like now I get to just go be me while I'm still representing the Pro Cheer League.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that you guys are getting paid for your time and for the matches, and then also kind of having like some name, image, and likeness deals kind of going on with the branding and sponsorships. And so sounds like they've met that goal that they set out to do for this league, which is very cool. Hopefully that continues too. Right? So any advice in general for cheerleaders on how to go pro?
I would say always chase your dreams. Never let somebody tell you that you're not good enough or it's not for you. Nobody can decide what is for you other than yourself. So always chase your dreams, always push, always have that drive, the courage, the intensity to want to be great. If you have that doubt of maybe it's not for me, then it's not going to be for you. But you always got to have that positivity for yourself to know you can do it. And now since this door is open, I would love to see, honestly, I would really love to see how the Pro Cheer League evolves in the next couple of years, because coming from the first year ever, it is still evolving as we keep going through matches. So I'm ready to see what it looks like 5-10 years down the road, and getting to meet these athletes to see the different things that they're coming up with that our old bones would not be able to do.
Hey, clearly you're not that old. I am retired, but you're not that old.
I'm getting there.
Yes. But I agree with you. I'll be excited to see how this evolves cheerleading and how the pro league in general will just evolve. And it's really cool and fascinating to kind of see how you guys have already started something that I think will be huge. So kudos to you being again on the first team. You've done a lot of firsts within cheerleading and had a lot of wins too on just successes in general within so many different stages. Well, overall, thank you, Jalen, for your time. I am so glad I got to connect with you today and talk a little bit more about you and your journey with cheerleading. And I'm just glad to call you a friend and colleague, and so proud of all the things that you've done. So happy for you too within this next stage of cheerleading. And thank you to our listeners for joining us today. And if you want to continue to follow Jalen along, you can follow him on social media at Jalen_Jones18. That is his Instagram. If you want to see all of the cool things that he is up to, and all of the things that he's doing with Atlanta Air or Pro League. And stay tuned for another episode that will be coming soon.
44-41, and a touchdown wins it. Snap back to Hilinski, drops back, has time, passes left, caught, made at the catchment of the 20-yard line, more to the 10, runs for the win, dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Washington State.